Alright, so what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper, and welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the channel. What we're going to be looking at today, guys, are the most hated weapons in PUBG. I asked a lot of you what your most hated weapon to obtain in this game is. You know, weapons that players generally consider to be not very good, or ones that are nuisances to end up getting, and we're going to look at each one a little bit more in depth and really ask ourselves if these deserve the hate they get. Now, that being said, before we jump into that, if you guys could leave a like rating on the video, it only takes 2 seconds of your time. It's absolutely free and it helps me out very, very much. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you're brand new to the channel so you don't miss any more videos like this or live streams that I do here as well. And one final thing to announce, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into it, is that I'm selling my first ever merchandise right now, but only for a very limited time. I'm selling like t-shirts, sweatshirts, whatever you're into. Go and check the link in the description and see what you like on there. And if you're, on the fence about picking one up, I would consider it, because once they're gone, they're going to be gone forever. But back to the topic at hand here. I want you guys to let me know in the comment section right now what your #1 most hated weapon in PUBG is, so that as we go through this list, you can see if the one that you said ends up being on here. But anyways, let's go and see if these weapons deserve the hate they get, or maybe people just don't know how to use them. Let's go ahead and find out. So the first weapon we're going to look at today should not come as a surprise to any of you. I knew that beyond a shadow of a doubt, somebody was going to put this on this list and it would be a popular choice, but this is going to be the revolver. Now, I've talked a lot about this weapon in the past, about how much I'm just really not a fan of it. Now, that being said, I don't think that this is necessarily a bad weapon per se, but I understand why it gets the hate that it does. Out of all the pistols, this is of course the weakest of all. But when I say weakest, I'm not talking about damage per shot, because it's actually the highest in its class. I'm talking about overall effectiveness and efficiency. The reload time is absolutely atrocious compared to every other pistol, and you only have 7 shots. The animation kick is pretty brutal on this weapon, meaning that each in between shots, you're going to have to at least take a little bit of time to reline it up and acquire your target once again, which can be a little annoying, and that can sacrifice the couple seconds to win a gunfight. So overall, does the revolver deserve the slack that it gets? I think that it is a good weapon, but in my opinion, there's a big difference between a good weapon and a competitive weapon. The revolver is not competitive by any sense of the word. However, it does have the potential to be a good enough weapon to be exactly what you need in a situation. So I gotta say, overall, at the end of the day, I think that the revolver is deserving of the reputation that it gets. Now, coming in next on our list today is a weapon that has fallen from grace. This is the Tommy gun. Now, most players have not played with the Tommy gun while it was a care package only weapon, when it was sought after, and this was something that people looked forward to getting. Believe it or not, that time existed. It used to hold 100 rounds in the magazine when you would get it out of airdrops, and the kick was not what it was today, so it was balanced way differently, and the gun was really good. But honestly, nowadays, I would say that the Tommy gun has probably caught one of the top 10 hardest nerfs of all time in video game history. It went from being a god tier weapon to something that people throw away even for pistols. I think a big problem with the Tommy is that it doesn't give you a lot of options as far as customization. You cannot put any sights on it, and the iron sights are gross to look at best, and it does give you an option for a vertical grip, which granted does help, and it makes the gun a little bit nicer, but it's still not even really viable, even with the grip and the extended on it. So overall, I do believe still the Tommy gun is the weakest of the SMG class. That's not really a debatable conversation. It's just generally not super efficient as far as the other SMGs are concerned, but I will say that this is a much more competitive weapon than, say, a revolver. It's not ideal, obviously, but when it worst comes to worst, would you rather be caught with a Tommy gun or a revolver? I think that in most cases, the choice is pretty clear. Now, the next weapon up on our list today is one that is only found in Sanhok and Miramar. And of course, this is, you're probably already thinking of it, the Winchester or the Win 94. Now, there's really big fans of this weapon, and there's people that absolutely despise it. And I don't really find myself in either camp personally. I'm just rather indifferent to the weapon. Like, if it's the only thing that you have, obviously you're going to pick it up. But is it really competitive, or is it ideal? Now, most of the big Win 94 supporters, I don't really know what you call them, like the Win 94 fan club, we'll say. Their normally big argument is the fact that it's almost like a faster firing Kar 98. And statistically, they're almost not wrong. It's not as powerful as the Kar 98, but it's very, very close. And of course, it does fire faster, and you have 8 before you have to reload, and you can do it one at a time. Like, it's very versatile, but I think that the biggest issue for me and many other players as well is the fact that you can only put on one attachment. and that is bullet loops. You don't even have the option for a sight, but if you did, I think that that would completely change the Win94. It's like having a really powerful DMR, but not being able to use its one biggest strength, which is its range. I mean, if this had the option to put a scope on it, I would be using it a lot more, and I think a lot of other players would be doing the same. But I don't see that happening anytime in the future. Maybe it will. We'll have to see. You guys can let me know how you feel about the Win94 in the comment section, because I know there is a pretty big fan club for it, and I mean, that's fair. That's fine. I respect your opinion, but I have to disagree. I don't think that this is a very viable or competitive weapon by any sense of the word. At the end of the day, for me, it's a fun novelty weapon, and there's nothing wrong with it. Now, the weapon taking the next spot on this list is the Mini 14. Honestly, a concerning amount of people told me that this is a weapon that they hate getting, and nowadays I kind of understand why. But for when this was pre-patched, it might have been one of the best guns, if not the best gun in the game as far as overall performance on it. But now it is also, you know, kind of made like the Tommy gun, and at a huge fall from grace to a point where it's not even really it's just a shell of its former self at this point. A prime example is that the gameplay you're watching is pretty much two evenly matched players, but one has a Mini 14 and the other has an SKS, and just when it boils down to it, the SKS will win in a scenario like with these conditions. The damage on the Mini 14 is so low right now that it's almost like having a VSS, but without that godly bonus of having your bullets completely suppressed and having that stealth advantage. I mean, you can put a suppressor on a Mini 14, but it's not going to help as much as if you would have a VSS, and to be honest, when given the choice, I'd normally go with the VSS nowadays. And what's interesting is that until now, and until so many people brought it up, I didn't realize how much I also dislike the Mini 14. Like, I'm not saying that this weapon isn't competitive, because I do believe it is. I think that every DMR has its own niche. The SKS and SLR are similar, but there's things that each one are better at. Same thing with the Mini 14, but I don't think that it's as powerful as far as actual effectiveness in PUBG. And I think that there's better options. If you want to run an M16 with the same attachments, you might get better results. So at the end of the day with this one, guys, I understand people's pain and I understand their grievances against the Mini, but I have to say that it's not as bad as people say, and it's probably a good thing to have in your inventory given the scenario that you don't really have anything better. So the next weapon on this list is the legendary, the one and only Crossbow. I don't know why this weapon is still in the game aside from just to troll people with, or it's like another kind of one of those fun novelty weapons, but I've never been killed by a Crossbow in a more competitive setting, and I think that people are trying to say that the Crossbow is in fact a competitive gun, which I will not agree with ever. What's funny though is that the Crossbow looks good on paper, right? You can one-shot any helmet, even if it's a level 3, you can still one-tap that with a shot. And also, another really big thing is that when you shoot the weapon, it doesn't make an actual like gun bang, so you cannot hear where it's coming from, and it's hard for people to spot you with a Crossbow. So this means you have the ultimate stealth weapon with the highest DPS potential possibly, right? That all sounds great, but is it practical when you're playing with it? It really isn't. It's safe to say that there's probably not too many people out there that are genuinely wanting to run their Crossbow in their setup. Like, I don't know, you have an M4 and a Crossbow just in your back pocket. That doesn't tend to happen. I don't see any players, at least as the people that I play with, don't carry that around really hardly at all. Does the Crossbow deserve the hate that it gets for not being that good of a weapon? Yes and no. Obviously, it's not that good, but I don't think it was ever meant to be good, right? So it's really about just keeping things in perspective. And finally, the last gun I want to discuss today is the M249, the LMG that is airdrops only. Now, there was a few people that kind of told me that they don't like receiving this weapon, that it's, you know, generally considered the worst one that you can get out of drops, and I tend to agree with that. Now, hold on, everybody slow down before you get triggered and start typing in the comments. I don't think the M249 is a bad gun. In fact, I love it, but I will say that I think it's the most disappointing care package weapon. It's about that time where I think this gun gets added into the common spawn along with the DP28 because it's getting a little lonely. It also suffers from the same problem as the Tommy gun. It doesn't have a lot of customization. You can put a sight and that's really about it. Maybe they might add some different LMG attachments. I think that would be really cool to see if there was a faster magazine for them, or some kind of extended barrel would be cool. I don't know if that's going to be something in the future, but I would like to see it. More LMG play, but I do believe that the M249 is not the most popular among care package users. But anyways, guys, that is the list today of weapons that players tend to hate in PUBG. This list was kind of composed of, you know, choices by myself as well as people from the community. I asked you guys in my Discord and on Twitter about what should go in this list, and I was, you know, generally surprised at some of the responses, which was cool to see. But let me know in the comment section how you guys felt about this list. What is the #1 weapon that you hate getting in PUBG and why? You know, back up your reason as to why you don't think it's very good or it's not very competitive, something like that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to leave a thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. And don't forget to check out the merchandise that is in the description. It's only available for a very limited time, so make sure to at least go and check it out and see if you like it. Subscribe if you are new to the channel so you don't miss any more videos just like this one. And without further ado, I will see you all up in the next live stream or the next video. Thank you guys for watching again. Take it easy and peace out.